Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. I'm really happy the day's been here. I've been counting down and been looking forward to this. I think
Aw.
everyone's going to be in for a treat because, again, at the end of the day, we're humans. We see some
Hmm.
things, we experience some things. We're not perfect. We try to be the best we can. And I think this topic is so much about that.
Yes,
And
absolutely. I've made mistakes and I'm going to share some stories today.
yes. So for everyone, hi guys, thanks for joining. I'm gonna go ahead and give a little introduction so that if you've never heard of Adrianne or maybe you've heard of her but you want to get to know a little bit more about her, I'm just gonna give you like a short little something. And at the end of the interview, of course, I'm gonna share where you can learn more, follow her journey, and all the fabulosity that's going on. So let me dig in there. So Miss Adrianne is an artist and a non-native dancer with 18 years of MENAHT dance
Yeah.
experience. And she's always been an artist. She's had a Master in Fine Arts
Hmm.
degree from California State University in Long Beach.
Hmm.
And she started dancing later in life at the age of 27. So she came into the dance world with like the lens of a visual artist. So definitely keep that in mind as we have our discussion. It
Yeah.
definitely is going to play a role. And she's traveled to Egypt 3 times. She started learning Arabic,
Hmm.
and she's pretty much obsessed with Egyptian dance style and music. So
Just a little
that's
bit.
going to play a role into her lens as well. And
Hmm.
then for any of you, super fast about me, just because I get asked all the time, I'm also a belly dancer, 18 years, non-native, and traveled, studied all the things in the MENAHT community as much as I can to better understand their perspective, different points of view that give this dance really the richness and the amazing experience that's shared with us. So let's dive into the tea and
Yes.
y'all share away. We want different perspectives always with these things.
Hmm.
So let's just begin with the title, shall we?
Yes. I
Saying
like the
the
title.
yeah, saying the right words, but missing the dang point completely.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I see a lot within our dance community. Our dance community has a lot of room for growth. I see a lot of non-native dancers, say they're being respected, but their actions really show something different. And I come with grace. I am, as a guest artist, a guest in this dance. I definitely have been my own journey. I have made lots of mistakes along the way, and I always have a lot of compassion for new dancers to start because maybe they don't know, they're on their own journey. But I
Yeah.
think kind of what gets me is dancers that continue on that journey but don't continue to have any curiosity about the culture that gives the context to the dance. And that's kind of that's what the conversation I think comes from today.
Oh, yes. And this can look so different across the spectrum. So we're going to get
Yes.
into like maybe some examples that we can share here. Maybe just
Mhm.
share some of those stories just to paint the picture of what this can look like to give our audience just to put them in the place and the perspective in those shoes.
Yeah, well, I've been really fortunate. I had many years where I was gigging here in the Arab American diaspora community here in Los Angeles in Orange County. We are very lucky that we have so many Arabic nightclubs here with Arabic music
Yeah.
and places they can go. And so I am forever grateful for that experience, being able to be invited to their homes, see them sing along to the music and kind of understand what this music and dance means to them. And I could see that firsthand,
Yeah.
through that community here. So I remember one night, I was invited to a home of an Egyptians that we worked with. And so they invited myself and another dancer, to come perform for them. But we also hung out because most of the time after your gigs, you would hang out with other people,
Okay.
maybe like the Egyptians or the Jordanians or whoever the club owners, you'd hang out with them and their wives a lot. So I'll never forget, the other dancer that was with me, she had been dancing for, at least 8+ years in the community.
Okay.
And we were both at the party together, and the Egyptian family turned on Kulthum at while we were just vibing. And she was like, "What is this god awful music? Why would they play this boring music?"
Oh
And it
my.
was, and it was in that moment I was like, oh my goodness, like she doesn't know.
No.
Like
Yeah.
it was amazing to me that someone could work inside of this community but not have an open curiosity to what the non like even like non-danceable music means to them. And that, it was amazing because I'm sure if you asked her if she was respectful, I'm sure she'd be like, yeah, like I work with them all the time, but did she really understand their culture? And that's when I realized that there was a little bit of a disconnect happening.
A gap
Yeah.
between doing steps and being a dancer and working, and then
Hmm.
actually being immersed in what it is that you're doing and it comes from, which can be a part of, it gives me a lot of tension. I'm gonna be like kind of passionate about it because
I love it. Let's be passionate.
it can be very frustrating, and it's
Yeah.
so easy for it to occur in the States. It's very
Yes.
easy with the way things are structured here in particular.
Hmm.
So you have like such a cool background because you are in an area that does
Yes.
have such a community there. There are a lot of places, because I hear this all the time,
Yeah.
especially like an event promoter, as a teacher, like all the things. There's a lot of places that don't have a strong community at
Hmm.
all of any sort of
Yeah.
Egyptian, like any sort of MENAHT community whatsoever.
Hmm.
And that is a huge, like the biggest disconnects are there for
Yeah.
sure, unless if they really go really, really out of their way, which is probably really hard to do, and that's
Yeah.
those types of places. You guys have a lot of events there in South California. Do you
We
do you
do.
ever have any situations there, like at festivals or events that happen there? Because that's such a normal setting to be in this industry.
Yeah, no, we have a ton of belly dance events, like with using the English word belly dance events all over Southern California. We are so lucky. Not only do we have, the communities here, the musicians here, we also have so many dance events. It's not pretty common to have maybe one dance showcase or a hafla, like, a showcase every weekend, like a small one.
That's wild.
Which is, I mean, I'm so fortunate. And I would say too, it's actually not uncommon to have two events in the same weekend, which can cause some friction sometimes with producers.
Mhm.
But I always try to prioritize, my time and my money. So, one thing that I noticed happens here sometimes is, we'll have an event producer who will put a lot of money and a lot of time into bringing in Middle Eastern musicians directly from the culture that work in the culture all the time, and they're going to have a live band. We're going to have, we're going to fly in a guest artist who has studied and lived in the culture.
Mhm.
And at that show, I'm thinking of a very specific show, only 15 people came. And
Mhm.
that same night, there was another, like, we'll call it like a community show. I went online and I saw 30 dancers were at that show.
Mhm.
And I really started to think, I'm like, why, these shows, not to discredit those shows have a place and purpose,
For sure.
absolutely. But, here is this very rare once a year, twice a year opportunity to actually immerse yourself in the culture, be in their environment with their music, how they want it to be seen. And you still chose to be comfortable within your own, like within the showcase. Yeah.
Whoa, that's a good word, comfortable.
I think
Okay.
that's what it
I
is. I
like.
really thought, I really thought, and think about, like why, this
Mhm.
amazing opportunity. So when it's really hard to bring this to you and like open the doors to you, and you still chose to be comfortable with a place where the culture is, there's not a lot of culture sometimes at those student weekly haflas. Let's be
Yeah.
very real. Yeah,
Yeah. There really isn't.
no. So,
Oh, I
yeah,
think that word is like makes me shiver. Comfortable. I think
yeah.
you just summed up so much of what like I've been pent up
Yeah,
frustration.
I do. I mean, I myself, I'm an American, and I understand, sometimes it can be uncomfortable to go walk into another culture. Even, especially here in like LA, we have so many pockets of so many different cultures,
Mhm.
and it can be uncomfortable, sometimes. But it's, this dance, I'm not forced to do this dance. No one's forcing me to do this. I don't have to be here. I'm here by choice because I love it. So
Mhm.
it's always curious to me when I see people choosing a more comfortable space and then pushing themselves to learn more, because I feel like when you're interacting with the culture and you're seeing the music and the dance as they want it, as it naturally occurs, I feel like you get more context and it really like informs my own dance, and also it's just vibes. I just want, like, I don't know. I'm always there for the vibes of a nightclub.
The
So,
energy, yeah.
yeah.
There's so many different settings. And so I went through something very similar just very recently. And I think something that I heard a few times from people was because it was all folklore. I was like, I
Hmm.
just want folklore. I don't want the audience. I don't want the rock social. I just want folklore.
Hmm.
And a lot of people were really adamant, and they're like, I'm scared to do it. I'm
Oh.
scared to perform it, or I'm scared to do it. I don't know anything about it.
Hmm.
And I go, this is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this,
Yeah.
no. because then if you're just doing, I call them like choreography factories, which is a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the industry and the student base,
Yes.
here. It's just, it's not like a thing, it's just like my own way that I've called it
Mm-hmm.
when I have issues with certain strategies in certain
Mm-hmm.
studios. And it'll be very frustrating because it will be just about when do I perform?
Yes.
And then never have they been to even like an Arabic nightclub or even
Yeah.
like a museum, a talk, a mosque,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, when you're new, like you said in the beginning, you
Mm-hmm.
don't know it doesn't just happen as
Yeah.
a non-native, but maybe it should little by little. You
Yeah. And I think,
feel
yeah, it seems like sometimes I'll say in America, at least the classes, sometimes it depends on the teacher. Some teachers are better at this than others, but sometimes
yeah.
the culture is stripped out of those beginning classes. And
Hmm.
I think from some teachers, they're like, well, I'm scared to introduce it a little bit. And I think, I mean, that really goes, like, really touches deeply on like Islamophobia within America, I think sometimes too. But
That's
um,
we can
that's a
come.
whole other topic. But
Oh,
But I
yes.
have heard that. I've heard where teach people like, they just want to make it like and I'm all for like accessibility, but you can make it accessible while still, sprinkling and start, because my first teacher did that. She
Mhm.
sprinkled in the culture and kept it real and it like really, and it made it fun because for me it's the most beautiful thing ever, this dance.
Right. Yeah.
But I definitely see a lot of people, the culture becomes like a scary part of or they want to cleanse it, for our American palate, and I'm like, but
Mhm.
that's you're taking the fun out of it, the beauty out of it, the complexity out of it,
Yeah.
that's me. I'll get on my soapbox now. But
No, 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 no. You are on the soapbox,
I'm on my
honey. This is
soapbox.
what this is about. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Islamophobia. That would be another thing. This is
That
very real. This
it's
is
very
very
it's
real.
yeah, and I think too, especially as an American who's in America who studies this dance, I encounter it sometimes when
Hmm.
or even when I tell people I'm going to Egypt, the amount of people that think I'm going to get, they make comments about my safety there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I live in Los Angeles. It's going to be fine. So,
Yeah, the way the movies, because they do in my country, right? I mentioned this in some other part. I was like, you see that people like in my country, I see how much they bash it and they still think it's like full of cocaine and like everyone's just guns ablaze. And I'm like, what the flip? We're in
yeah,
2026.
yeah.
So you see the media and you see the
Hmm.
news and people just gobble it up here and they think it's
Yeah.
like that and there's bombs everywhere and I'm like, have you been? Like I just went. It was a blast. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, I'll
reasonable.
never forget. It's so safe, and I'll never forget. I was lucky this last January. I was in Egypt with my husband. We went to the cabaret to see Zara
Ooh.
Abdurrahman perform, which was great. But she stayed behind with us and hung out with us. And
Okay.
I'll never forget. She's like, "Look at them. They're all teddy bears." And I think that's how I look at like Middle Eastern. They're all just like adorable teddy bears. They're so kind and compassionate, and like they love to host and they're caring and there's just so for me it's like what people are scared of. I'm like, that's not what's there. There's so much beauty and richness in the culture. And it's so wonderful when it opens up. And that informs my dance. Like honestly, because then I can connect with the people and the memories I've made and I can bring that into my dance.
Yeah. I think we just need a whole other topic on Islamophobia because that
That's a
that
whole,
is very part of this is something that
I think it is.
frustrates the crap out of me from dancers that have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And that usually it's always like ignorance and after when you've been in this for so long, it's a lot of that. It's like, come on,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, like when you first start, you don't know as an American, because you're never exposed to this. If you're like
Mhm.
your average American, and you like walk into a Bellydance class, you don't really understand the culture behind it. You've never seen it in its proper context. So
Mhm.
you're really leaning on the teacher, to show you the way and sprinkle some stuff in. And there
Mhm.
are so many amazing beginner teachers that do that, but I think there are a lot that don't. So,
Yes, which
yeah.
is a problem.
Yeah.
Tell me about because again, the American here in America, we have a little too much freedom sometimes, I think, to
Yep.
interpret things. I have totally been one of those made a big mistakes all
Oh
the
yeah.
time. Let's talk about fusion. What are
Yeah,
your thoughts on
and
fusion?
I yeah, and for the record, I am not anti-fusion. And I do want to say what was interesting to me is when because like I said, I have a background in fine arts.
Yeah.
So when you would hear about fusion pieces, it was maybe like two things connected together, or maybe three like to connect together. So I was very curious when I started saying what I think they've changed the name, but what they call like fusion dance. I'm like, well, what are they fusing? I don't like, it's not clear.
Hmm.
And so sometimes I feel like, and first of all, I have seen some beautifully well done, and I like to call it informed fusion dance, but I
Okay.
see a lot of fusion that has the culture stripped from it. And that's my problem. That's my problem with it. So for an example, I was at a festival and this troupe came out and they were playing this really, really cool song. I don't want to call anyone out. So it was a really
Yeah.
cool song. It was an Iraqi song infused with a Western song. This song was lit. It was very cool. And I was excited to see what they were going to do.
Uh-huh.
I think the piece was like 6 to 7 minutes long. They never did one Iraqi move. And for me, I'm like, well, why would you pick an Iraqi fusion song to dance fusion to and not do any nod?
Of
Any
any
nod.
regional dance style of the whole country of
The whole
Iraq.
piece.
Yeah.
Not one. I was waiting for it. I was like, come on, this song is so cool. This song is so like fun. You could really dig into this song and do some really cool stuff. And
Yeah.
I was so let down. It was amazing. I was like, for once again, we're not forced no one forced you to pick an Iraqi fusion song.
Yeah.
You picked that and it was you chose not to do a nod to, any Iraqi dance step in it. And I think for me that was a huge disconnect for them, you know.
See stuff like this all the time. Oh, you're on fire on this one. Especially with like Halfle, which to me, a student Halfle is an incubator. Okay,
Yeah.
right? Like student. I'm talking about more like when there's pros at the Halfle.
Yeah. These were, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I will see like the pros, right? And I'm like, come on, you should know better. Like the
Yeah.
wrong costuming style for the region.
Something.
They're doing like something researched, or it'll just be because they think it looks pretty. And I'm like, did
Yeah.
you research what this was? Like at a base, like I'm not saying
Yeah.
have a whole thesis on it. Like, would be
Right.
cool. But
Yes.
like, but it happens a lot. I would say
Yeah.
probably like, yeah, probably 50%. I'm gonna see something I go,
Yeah.
ooh, that probably wasn't really well informed at some show.
Yeah, and I think too sometimes, and I don't study too many other dance styles. I've been really just focused on this dance style, but I feel like sometimes Americans come into it with like carte blanche, like they could just take the movements and they don't need to do like they don't need to be respectful. They can just take it and put their own spin on it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I often think like, these dancers are so well, especially here in Los Angeles, I would say these dancers are so well aware of like Mexican folklore dances, like hip hop dancing. And like, if I literally took like hip hop movements, put it on like a Taylor Swift song and said I was doing hip hop, you would understand that that was not correct. You would understand that there's a problem right there. But
Yeah.
for some reason, we can take Middle Eastern movements, strip it of the culture, and then it's fine. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's no guardrail sometimes in a lot of spaces and
Yeah.
places. And
Yeah.
and then sometimes we're fed information
Hmm.
and we trust the information too. Like I have
Yes.
totally been that. I learned
Yes.
Iraqi dance
Yeah.
12, 15 years ago from
Hmm.
I was like all about it for a year. I was like, ooh, everywhere it comes.
Yeah.
From non-Iraqis, but they
Hmm.
said they knew
Yeah.
time. I was like, okay, I'm like 21, 22.
Yeah. You're like excited. You think you're doing the right. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You thought you were doing the right thing.
I was like, wow, this looks so cool. And
Yeah.
then now, like I just did a private the other week and I was like, so how does it? And they're like, no, you don't look Iraq. Like the
Yeah.
style, like you're right. Like you have to really work. It's folklore. Like you have to
Yeah.
get it if you're gonna do it. I wish I
Yeah.
knew that then. I was just like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah, and that's where I always have lots of grace. Like I understand it's
Mhm.
hard when you trust an instructor. You're like, oh, this
Yeah.
person seems like they have a lot of accolades. Like they have a lot of followers, maybe, or like, oh, I should trust
Yeah.
them. But then they aren't really teaching the authentic way that
No.
within the context that the culture wants to see it. And it's and that's hard. I've been there. So
Yeah. I think
yeah,
it's one of the common things I think everyone might that should maybe think about and question. It's okay to be like a non like I teach here and there, I have a workshop, I'm like, I'm a non-native and have to be very clear about that.
yeah,
Like this is an interpretation from this thing that I'm going to teach you, and I'm
Yeah.
not from there. So now it's the second level of barrier. And
Yeah.
I grew up in America. So now we have
Yeah.
3 levels of barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean it's garbage, but it's not going to be like that thing.
Yeah,
Like,
because I tell people too, like, especially native dancers, they grew up watching their mothers dance, their aunts dance, their
mhm,
grandmothers dance. It was in them since they were a kid.
yep.
So I try to tell people when I'm talking to them that music isn't just dance music. That's music that's the background soundtrack to people's lives.
Yeah.
So for us, it's just fun. And for me, it's fun dance music. So that's why I do enjoy, trying to immerse myself in the culture, going out to their nightclubs, going to their events, because then I can have memories with those music with other people, because they
Yeah.
bring those memories in.
It's
So
like nostalgia,
yeah,
it's beautiful.
yeah, which is great. It's a family. And I think for as a guest, like I don't have I have my other memories with my grandmother, dancing, but not with this music.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, where's
Mhm.
your greenie from?
Oh, she's from she was born in America, but she's full Italian. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
I
cool.
know my mom's actually watching. Hi, mom.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
hi.
my mom's online.
I love
Um,
it.
Yeah, my
Cool.
grandma's like, be silly and dance. But, when I think of, when I meet, women from the culture, they grew up there with their moms dancing, their aunts dancing in the kitchen, and these are beautiful memories. And it's important to understand that this dance we're doing comes from this huge social connection, family
Mhm.
connection. And
Yeah,
that's definitely, I see so many, hi mom, I see so many like stripped away, they take this dance and they strip. And that for me, that's where the beauty is. And I think is what makes it so frustrating to me. I'm like, you're taking the good part out. There's the good part. Put it back in.
yeah,
So,
it's like sanitizes it. And
yeah.
it's very, very common. Like here we're in the state I'm in, we have pockets of the community. If you look
Hmm.
for it, you'll find it, but there's also areas where there's nothing.
Yes.
There's nothing
Yeah.
at all. Ooh, we have a comment. Sorry, I don't want to. We live in a. Oh my God, yes, Iraqi dance has been a money grab. I
Yeah.
fell
Because I
for
think,
it for
I
many
think,
years.
not to go off on a tangent a little too much, but I think I always feel like with American, our view of dance is we want you to show us something impressive. Show me, do something impressive.
Yeah.
Where like in the culture dance, they want a connection. And I think that when you see like Iraqi dance, people, Americans will see the hair tossing. They're like, oh, that looks impressive. So they kind of seek that out, but they lose that beautiful musical connection, community connection, audience connection. I feel like American dancers are just seeking out the impressiveness, impressive
Yeah.
steps, like look flashy. And I'm like, oh, but the heart, I need the soul in the dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's something to that I think with nowadays with how much ways that we can connect, there's more ways to connect than ever if you choose
Hmm.
to use it for
Yeah. If you
connection,
choose to. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Hmm.
That something to think about, for anyone that listens and might be like, shoot, that's me. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
cheating and I've never been to the place, or I've never even went to like not to just do the gig and leave. Like I've never been and like actually said, oh, this is the custom and this is how they do that.
Hmm.
Or oh, I went to the like nightclub has this because it's I think it's a training ground for sometimes for like depending on what kind of things you do. It's a great
Yeah.
training ground.
But it's not available to everybody.
It's
That's a
not
fact.
available to
It's
everyone.
not.
And
Yeah.
if it is, like I found out from even my own community a couple of years ago that it was available and people just never went. They wouldn't
Yeah.
go to like just a nightclub, like go
Yeah.
a lesson
Here,
here.
and they even do it here. I mean, we have multiple nightclubs here in Southern California. There
Oh,
is
so
no excuse. And I would say I've only seen a handful of dancers at them, like on their own.
I wonder
Like,
why this is. Because
yeah. And
nightclubs are fun. Singer, music, everyone's
it's a
there.
vibe. I've even brought my non-dance friends. I'm like, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't even go for the dancer. If you haven't been, it is like for me, I don't like American nightclubs because they're loud and you have to stand. So at an Arab nightclub, there's like tables and you get a full meal and you just get to hang and vibe while like the music and you get to people watch and like
See?
that's me.
Yeah.
That's
See?
me.
Moves you watch, you see the gesture, you see how they react, you see how
Yeah.
they'll teach you and be like, oh, I like, how did you do that? This show me, or like, what are you like? And they're like, oh, like, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and they're all very in a community. Not had problems, but because you'll go and people will be social dancing, and I like to same watch their movements, but we'll do a little dub key, and sometimes they try to put me at the front. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
please
no.
don't put me. Don't. I'm too scared.
I'm like, oh,
I'm
please
like,
don't.
please God, no. Don't do
I'll go in the
it.
back, like at the
I
end.
I can dubkey, but I can dubkey, like I can follow, but I am not, you guys, I am not leading a dubkey line anytime soon.
Yeah, same,
So,
same, same, same. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Tell me about mistakes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Some,
So, I know we sit here and I don't want people to think like, oh, we're like judging because I started off as a guest dancer. I was very fortunate that I had, my first teacher really sprinkled in a lot of the culture, but I've actually made some mistakes. So this one's probably my most hilarious mistake. I've never spoken about it publicly. So here we go. Don't cancel me. Anyway, but
I'm so excited.
so I was very new to gigging. This was probably one of my first gigs ever with a very small dance troupe I was working with. We got booked at one of the large television studios here in like in Los Angeles.
Cool.
And it was an event for their employees to teach them about Persian New Year.
Oh,
Yeah. So they were going to teach about Persian New Year. So they hired us to come in and teach. So I asked the girl who booked us, I was like, I don't know Persian dance because it's a specific dance. I have not been trained in it.
okay.
And she was like, don't worry, I'll teach you some moves. I should have stopped there, but I was like, things were moving along. We got money. It was the first gig. I was kind of excited. And she taught us some moves. And I'll never forget, we walked in. So I went to the big TV studio and then we walked in. And I'm not kidding, the Shaws of Sunset were there. And it was a small party. And for those of you who don't know, it
Okay.
was a reality TV show. They're, Persian Iranian, and
Okay.
they're very wealthy. And they had a TV show on E News.
Okay.
So they're very famous.
I've
So,
never seen an episode, so I'm like, I kind of heard
yeah.
it, but I don't never.
Yeah, it's like the Housewives of Beverly Hills or like the Kardashians. It was like the Shaws of Sunset. It was like a
Persian.
show
Got
like
it.
that.
Got it.
So, these are some of the most famous Persian Iranian Americans, on television, and they're in the room.
Oh, and they were
And I
there.
will never forget, I started dancing and doing like the three moves I was taught. And I remember she had her Louis Vuitton and her hands were like,
Oh my God.
and I was like, I have made a mistake. I made it. I have, her eyes were burning through my soul.
Ooh.
Because I thought it would be okay. And here I am in front of her, maybe people she works with, and presenting her culture
Mm,
like poop, like crap.
yeah.
That's really what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
And ever since that day, I swore I would never ever do that again.
Sometimes the best way to grow is to fall on your butt. It truly can be.
Yeah.
You'll never make the same mistake again.
And I do think I have a lot of grace for myself too. I think, those of us that put ourselves out there and do gig and do works, we've made mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like another one is, I know you're always they always say like, you should need to know your lyrics before you, perform it.
Yeah.
And so I was really fortunate. One of the first very routine gigs was a hookah lounge that was owned by that same Egyptian family I've talked about before. And they were big into music. They love music. So they would actually oftentimes pick out my music for me and be like, you have to dance this song. And, they would send me
Oh,
songs. So I was fortunate that they were sending me like the hottest stuff. I was like,
cool.
great. So they loved this one song and I was like, cool. Um, and so anyway, I got booked at like another hookah lounge down the way and I was like, oh, I'll play that song. I started playing it and everyone in the room got really quiet except one guy. I'll never forget. He got up and he was like singing the song in my face. And I was like, oh, something's off about this song.
Yeah.
And of course, I went home and the song was about doing illegal drugs. And I was like, great. And I was like, oh my God.
Wait.
Yeah.
But your client picked out the song for their
Yeah, they did. So they're shabby, Anyway.
Uh-huh.
But I think I didn't realize that, like, yeah, that's okay that they picked it out, but that might be okay for them,
And
but that's
that's
maybe not okay for a different place. Yeah.
okay. Yes.
But I still like the song, but that went off the playlist after that.
Yep.
Yeah, just you can always tell I don't know if you ever had an incident where you were gigging and then you're like everyone's looking at you and you're like I have done something wrong.
I mean, I have done something wrong. I've done where like I'm just not even. I don't know the lyrics to the song. Like many years ago, didn't know the lyrics either. I just thought it was a cool song.
Yeah,
I did it, and I'm smiling the whole time. And then later, when I go back, I'm like, yeah, dumb. Like this was not one to be smiling about. You're like, you didn't do anything justice. Like what the hell? That was
yeah,
so dumb to not have done the freaking 5 minute Google. It's
five
so
minutes.
easy now,
Yeah,
but you learn.
you learn. You learn. And what I do love about, like, Native people, they'll tell you with their eyes
Yeah.
if you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
Although I did have one guy come up, speaking of just picking the right songs and kind of knowing your audience.
Mhm.
Um, this was a while back. This wasn't recent. Just for timeline wise, I was starting to take some classes of Mahagana dance. I was like, oh, this is like really fun. Like it's very like vibrant. It matches my personality. I really love it. So I'll never forget. I went to this it was like a hookah lounge nightclub place,
Okay.
and I was doing my normal like set, and then I put it on the playlist, and I started doing my like little routine that I learned in class. I was so proud of myself. And this guy got up and he grabbed my hand. He's like, "Stop, dance like a woman, please."
Yeah, you'll
And
get that.
and I didn't understand at that time that like maybe this was the hot music for like a certain society over there, but certain, like, especially I would say this happens with every culture, not just MENAHT cultures or Arab American cultures. They tend to hold on to the older stuff and reject some of, like, to hold on to those old worldviews a little bit. My culture does it too, but like, they were just not ready for that in the culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the only time I ever played a Mahaganat song in any of my gigs. It was off the table after that. I do wonder if they'd be open to it now because like things have changed. This was a number
Hmm.
of years ago, but you got
Yeah, I
to know
wonder.
your audience, guys.
Yeah, truly, because Mariana's so there's a lot of political and like it's some of those lyrics. Woo!
Yeah,
Yeah. That I don't perform in Maraganas. And even with
yeah.
Shabby, I'm very careful how you have to kind of know
Hmm.
where to put it. They love Shabby, but some places are like more like this is a wedding, so I cannot put Shabby
Yeah,
in
and
my
I
set
think
for
that
a
it's
wedding.
like, yeah, you got to know your audience. You got to know the family. Like, are you dancing at the church, like for a baby shower, like, or are you dancing at their home or their nightclub where there's no kids, like,
Mhm.
and that took time for me to learn. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
It's always an adventure. I came home every night with a story.
Yes, I think what your recent story just about how like he said, just to clarify, because some listeners are again, if you don't have the experience, we have such a broad base of
Hmm.
listeners, they might be like, why did he tell you to dance like a
Hmm.
woman? I
Yeah.
think that would be a very honest question. So like maybe
Yeah.
explain that in detail because I don't want to go like this with some of our
Oh,
listeners.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think sometimes too, like we have to understand like gender roles and gender expectations are different in different cultures than they are here in America. Absolutely. For them, he saw like in his eyes, he saw me as dancing too masculine and I was crossing a boundary for him. They
Mhm.
wanted me to be soft, like cute. Della is like this cute little like coquettish. They want you to be sweet, and I crossed that line into something that they did not want. They didn't expect. They don't like have an expectation to see at that point in time. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that's fine because that's not. I don't need to come into that space and demand like my Americanness happen. My American expectations on gender norms, gender roles. Like I'm here entertaining them in their space, and they're on
Yeah.
their own journey too, absolutely. But they have a very specific role and the way they want their female dancers to be viewed.
Mhm.
So, and I don't, things may have changed. I haven't danced in a couple of years, so I don't know where things are at, especially with Mahaganat. But at that time, he saw me dancing too masculine, and it was too much for him.
Yeah. Again, it's up to the family, the space, the
Hmm.
place. Like that would be acceptable in like some other festival for sure. Probably not. Like it's just
Yeah,
what
like
the
it. Yeah,
environment.
it's just more understanding the expectations of the culture in that space because that also changes depending on what space you're in. Even
Yes.
like we like if I would dance a lot of the nightclubs. I would dance to Halwet Ru all the time, and I'll never forget. We got booked at a children's shower, and I knew not to play that because I knew it was from like a
Yeah.
naughty
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
But the girl I was dancing with put it on the playlist, and I'll never forget. The mother was like, "No, no, no, turn it
Oh,
off!" So
at a
we
dance
we were
party.
safe. We were safe. Yes. You can't play that, so it's just it can, and I think sometimes that can be intimidating, but we all make mistakes. That's why it's important to, maybe be friends with the manager, be friends with the musician, be friends with people you can ask these questions to, or just be curious, go online. What movie is this song from?
Hmm.
You know.
Yes. Where would it be appropriate? Should I
Yes.
dance it? And if I do, where?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, because it's not like every song is appropriate for every single, like if I'm at the nightclub or a family like at the church for like a baby shower or like a private home. Not every song's going to be just it's same with them, even just regular dance, like or any kind of entertainment. The entertainment's going to fluctuate based on the audience you're with.
Yeah, I think maybe to parallel it for some, because our non-native listeners, it's kind of like think of, I mean, I love 90s hip hop. Like that
Yes.
to me is where it's at as far
Hmm.
as like English, language music.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't just be like putting some of that, at like,
Yeah.
let's say a wedding, even though I love it. I don't see anything wrong with it. But it's just like the
Right.
space and the place. Like there's going to be a bunch of curse words
Hmm.
usually.
Yeah.
You're going to say some like derogatory things. And you're just like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't play that there, right? Like it's kind of that idea for
Yeah.
listeners.
Yeah. And even with the night, like I would say the nightclubs here in LA, there's different tiers. There's like a classier one. There's a little lower class one that's a little like tier, you know what I mean? Like there's one that although I always like the ones that are like not as classy because they're way more fun. But I do enjoy the people watching at the ones that are a little like, but yeah.
I know the classism, that's another
Yeah,
topic.
that's another classism. That's another topic, but but that's
But
just why you have to you have to understand your music. And I learned all this just by putting myself out there, and making these mistakes. So, I think, but I also at the same time, even though I was making these mistakes, I learned from them. I kept an open heart. I always made sure I was willing to be wrong about something. And I kept an open curiosity, like, tell me more. Why wouldn't this work? I don't understand what happened, and
yeah,
then and also I enjoy learning. I think that's another thing too, is like, like we talked about, like a lot of dancers just want to put on the costume and perform. I'm like, what about the journey? What about the journey, you guys? The journey of learning. For me, that's just as fun. Maybe I'm just a nerd. I don't know.
it's okay to be a
Yeah.
nerd. Yeah, I think when
Mhm.
back to the topic, like when I was coming up with like, okay, how do we name this?
Yeah.
Kind of going back to, because I think listeners who are watching this, or they probably have seen this,
Yeah.
where there's like someone that they run into in person or
Hmm.
particularly online, and they'll kind of put themselves out there like holier than all, speaking clean,
Hmm.
I don't know, whatever you want to say
Yeah.
it. And then you're kind of looking at the body of the work, if you dig in, if you care to dig in a little,
Hmm.
and you go, what I'm seeing doesn't quite match maybe
Yeah.
what I'm hearing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and I think, some people are like, for me, like, be honest with yourself. It's a journey. You're going to make mistakes, but be open. But if you dig in, you're like, I'm doing this perfectly. I'm doing perfect advocacy. I'm the perfect ally. Like, no one is.
No
No
one.
one. You have, and I think too, sometimes that's why it's hard to speak up about these things because, maybe you didn't say it perfectly or, but I think we still have to have these conversations and these conversations have to go out there, even if the conversations aren't perfect versus like I'm doing this right. I'm the perfect person. I'm the only one that knows how to do this. Like you're older, like we call it our favorite game is you're doing it wrong. you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of, oh, it's like we're
Hmm.
all humans. We're gonna mess up, which
Yeah.
is why I love like this podcast. We'll be like, okay, here's the things that we do because we're human. This is how we learn, da da da, and then here's some really great ideas for
Hmm.
how to maybe not fall on your butt. Like, let's save you some time,
Yeah.
like, or just food for thought. Because if you are a listener, or maybe you've come like across one of your friends, like really good friends, or someone
Hmm.
that you really trust in the community, or it could be your teacher, or another student, it could be whoever, and you're just like, well, they say all these things, but I've never really asked or questioned where did they
Hmm.
get from or why? Or is this, maybe I disagree and maybe I should say,
Hmm.
I kind of disagree. Can we have like a mature conversation? I'd like to understand more about your shoes. And you could still disagree, but
Yeah.
respectfully.
Respectfully. And I think
Yeah.
too, when I think of like the people that have questioned me and some of my mistakes, those people that actually had an impact on changing my mind came from a place of love, like, and
Mhm.
wanting me to be better, not just like attacking me, but
Yeah.
the change, they were just like, hey, like, I think I have a better way that would help you out. Or like, have you thought about doing it this, it just coming from that place of love, understanding like that I have good intentions, but maybe I'm making a mistake and maybe I'm not doing things the best way or in the best light, but they came at me with a place of love and understanding that like I am on a journey and I'm open to change. And so
Oh, I
I
love,
was,
yeah.
yeah,
We need more of that.
yeah, because I'm very grateful for the people that guided me. Absolutely, because it's hard if, like I said, if you're non-native and you just run into like a belly dance class, you don't really understand the depth that this art has, and you're gonna make mistakes. Absolutely. But
Yeah.
I think it's just, are you willing to learn or be open to criticism or open to like listening? And especially, I would say listening to native dancers. I think that's another hot topic. People, the natives, they'll speak and they'll talk
Yeah.
and they're like, I just, and just be open to listening, be open to maybe you did something wrong, or that they have been talking about. Maybe you're contributing, even with the best intentions, you're accidentally contributing to a problem. I've
Mhm.
done it myself, and I think it's just coming from that place of love though,
Yeah, the place
Yeah.
of love is important for sure. Oh, I like
Mhm.
that. Oh, well, it kind of brings us into a place of love. I think that's a good one. Like, what are
Yeah.
some solutions, when you see kind of like this problematic behavior where like things
Mhm.
aren't exactly matching up? What do you
Mhm.
do? What do you suggest? What could people listening to this maybe
I
try?
think, yeah, I think honestly, it's just, one, asking yourself. So, like I said in the beginning, you don't have, none of us non-natives, none of us are forced to do this. Like, this is all a choice.
Yeah,
So
we're
ask
lucky for
yourself,
that
yeah,
privilege.
it's a privilege that I
Mhm.
chose to study this, and I study this because I love it. And I
Mhm.
guess for me is the more I connect to the culture, the more like I investigate the culture, interact with the culture, and immerse myself with the culture, the more I love it. Actually, it's like this onion, it just keeps on layering itself.
Mhm.
And I'm very well aware that I am privileged, that I live in like Southern California and I have access to everything here, but I know not many people do. Absolutely. So I think, just a really easy way, I think about the people, maybe you live in like South Dakota, like what's there, right?
Mhm.
Go on Instagram and start following like Middle Eastern accounts that are not dance related. I think that's a big one. I think sometimes dancers go online. Yeah. Because I think, it's easy to go online, you follow dancers, but actually a lot of the dancers you see overseas are not native because they're allowed to post. Like
Yeah.
that's a whole other conversation of just like, like that they're, foreigners are allowed to post and put themselves out there. But a lot of times, some of the best dancers we will never see online ever.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think, go on like Instagram or TikTok or wherever you are, and follow like, Middle Eastern comedians, DJs, artists, feud viewers, actors, whatever. It kind of just gives you a window into what they care about, what matters to them. And
Mhm.
actually, a lot of times it's hilarious. It's hilarious. They're very fun. Like join, I like follow a lot of the comedians. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
Um, I think one thing I remember when I was a baby dancer, my teacher, I heard about this very famous teacher in America. She decided to take a whole year to only listen to Middle Eastern music. She was going to put all her personal music aside. And I actually took that challenge on. I don't know if I made it a year. I probably made it like 8 months,
Oh,
but
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So I did do, and actually to this day, I still probably listen to 50% American, like Western music, and then 50% Middle Eastern music. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
That's
I think it's like getting in your bones, like understanding how much you love, like like I don't know, like just get it in there, like get that vibe in, like dance in your car as you're driving, but drive safely, you know. But yeah, for me, I really enjoy listening to a lot of the music just so I can, and then when I go to like maybe the Middle Eastern grocery store, the nightclub, or I recognize all the music and I can
Mhm.
look around and I can see everybody, singing along. And I'm like, oh, they like this song. This is like a big song, very important, so
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Okay, so following not just dancers from across the way,
Yeah.
but a lot of
But
different type of arts, interesting
yeah, there's so many like
culture,
I know
so many
social media creators from like, across, the whole like North Africa, Middle Eastern, Turkey, Iraq, Iran, the Gulf region. There's so many super fun creators, and a lot of them do create content in English. And there's just a lot of great stuff. So you can kind of, and for me, it's funny when I follow a lot of these other like comedians or artists or social media creators, I find a lot of overlap between being like an Italian American and like being like and that little like Venn diagram of the overlap is kind of where I try to let my dance live.
Gotcha. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah. Another thing too, I think, especially if you live far away, we're so fortunate to have the internet now. Like, I mean, I give grace to anyone who had tried to learn this dance with no internet, no video recordings back in the 60s and 70s, you know. But you can now it's very, very easy to take dance classes from source dancers in their country. A lot
Mhm.
of times, we talked about a lot of them can't put themselves out there through video or like market, but they'll do like non-recordable Zoom classes and you can join those. And a
Mhm.
lot of them do like teach in English. So, as long as best as you can, always try to get as close to the source as possible when learning the dance.
Mhm.
Always. Yeah, you can just take a lot of like, like Scheherazade is a big platform. She often will have, she'll host dancers from across Egypt and you
Yep.
can pay, money. There's some other dancers, her name's Aisha, I forget her last name too, but like she teaches, like a lot of people teach on Zoom. They'll teach you from across the world, and so that way you don't have to leave South Dakota, or Montana or wherever you are.
Mhm.
And I oftentimes too, like anytime there's a source dancer in Los Angeles, I will try my best to go down there and study with them. Yeah, even if it's like a dancer, sometimes like maybe I'm not interested in their style, but I want to be supportive and I want to hear what they have to say because sometimes it can just be very informative of how they connect to the dance and what
Yeah,
the yeah.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah, and it's fun. This is just fun. I love learning. So, and I love this dance. I don't know about you, like it's too late. I'm obsessed. Like I love the music and the people and the food and it's too late for me.
We'll be dancing until you're great. I think who was it? Valentino was like, "Yeah, well, I'm gonna be buried in my like costume," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god."
Yeah, I know. I can't imagine. I take breaks here and there. It's always the ebb and flow of, dance.
Be an
It's
artist.
it's being an artist, but anytime I'm down or like, burn out or think, I don't know, I just turn the music on. I'm like, I want to dance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for
you know,
sure.
yeah. But I think it's just keep that curiosity, keep that love alive, keep that curiosity for the culture that informs the dance. Because we can do fusion, you can do it your own way, but I think when you start stripping the culture out of it is when we can start getting a problem.
Yeah, and I think we have that problem quite a bit with the setup that we have in the States because again, it's like you're doing out of a place that's super privileged, it's super far
Hmm.
away,
Hmm.
from the source. And usually just because of, the way that not all of the different cultures, there's so many regions, but like
Yeah.
to put a really gross summarization, many can't go to the dance class.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be okay for the family. It's like very common. I mean, you hear this all the
Hmm.
time from your teachers,
Yeah.
right? Like they could not have done that, or the family would feel a lot of shame. And so
Yeah.
we're in the classes with a lot of non-natives as well,
Yeah.
growing up the whole time together in a really institutional type of form, like not institutional,
Hmm.
like a very standardized
Hmm.
format. And it's very like, some of them are like very fitness driven. And so
Yeah.
there's no curriculum for culture.
Hmm.
And if there's some really cool things like you have to write papers, you have to do research, like stuff like that is really hard to find.
Yeah.
And so, as we're talking about solutions, I think because I have people that come to like various events and they're like, in my area, I don't have anything. Like, what can
Yeah.
I do? And like, I'm sick of like social media. Okay. Like, but then if I'm social media, I feel like sometimes I get drained from being on social media because there's a
Yeah.
whole side
That's
to
a whole
it.
bag of work. Yeah.
That's a whole other thing. And so I go, no, no, no worries. Like I get that not everyone's made out of money either, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
like, it's a big investment. It's such a privilege to do it. What
Yeah.
are some things that like without social media involved, and
Hmm.
if there aren't source dancers coming their
Hmm.
way, and if you have any, or otherwise we can put it in a chat
Yeah. No,
that you
yeah,
would
I
like.
think, yeah, honestly, I mean, I'm just like, if I, if I didn't have access to a lot of stuff and I didn't have social media, I'd at least try to get on YouTube and watch old Egyptian, because this is how they learn. Like, watch old Egyptian movies and just follow along. Like, just watch them all. You can go on YouTube. There's a whole bunch of them, so that way you don't have to like see comments or anything like that. That's one thing I would do.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm thinking too, another thing, if you, see if you can learn some like Egyptian Arabic, just a couple words. Because
Mhm.
now when I listen to the songs, like, I mean, I've been doing it for off and on for a couple of years, but I'll tell you what, the minute I just learned a couple words, I was able to connect to the music a little bit better.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah. Just like little things like hob or enti omri, or just like little things like that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I love
Yeah.
how you mentioned YouTube because that's such a good source. I feel like everyone's like, TikTok, like social media. I'm like, YouTube is like this
YouTube's there.
archive of
Yeah.
so many. Now, you can't trust everything, like a grain of salt, right? This
Oh
is,
man, yeah. I mean, that's a whole other problem. But I think, going to the source, because I've talked to so many native dancers and they tell me how when they grew up, they used to watch the old movies and just follow along in their bedroom. And
hmm
I think there's something just so sweet and beautiful to that. So
yes. And
yeah.
you can see even, like, music and stuff nowadays, you can see the music video. See what the artist did with the music video. Like that can
Yeah.
inform a lot of things. And you're just like, oh my gosh. So this is like this. This is so funny. Or like this is like, oh
Yeah.
my God, this is like, wow, I thought it was gonna be interpreted this way with my I don't speak a lick of Arabic, so I have to
Yeah.
get translators for like all the things that I seriously get into.
Yeah.
And then I'll see what I took it as or what they explained it as, and then I see it visually in like a video and I go, wow, like this connects it
Yeah.
way more even. It's like
Oh
next
yeah, and
level.
I think understanding the context because a lot of the songs also come from movies. So I
Mhm.
think just even if you could just watch the music video, it's gonna really, really inform you like of kind of a you can catch the gist of like the song a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, is it a happy song? Is it a sexy song? Is it like a cutesy song? You know. And so I love those music videos. Like I don't know, there's something about the Egyptian styling. It's very bold, it's very loud, it's very like dramatic. I don't know, it's very me. I just love it.
And there are many, many more styles in case we have like some baby dancers in the
Yeah.
industry. There's many more. Her specialty is more of an Egyptian, but there's
Yeah.
Lebanese, there's Turkish. I mean, there's just like so many places.
Yeah. I have a very good friend and we started off doing Egyptian and she found Turkish dancing and she said she felt so connected. She never felt connected to Egyptian dance, but the minute she started doing Turkish, she felt so connected. So I think it's important to understand that if you don't connect with the Egyptian, that's okay. No one's here holding
Yeah.
you hostage to like, Lebanese. There's also like a lot of the dancers from like the Gulf regions. There's so many beautiful dancers out there.
So many. This is why it takes probably two lifetimes. Even then,
I know
there's just
sometimes I'm just like,
so
no, I
many.
can't learn one more. I'm trying to like hone in and focus on this style. So
Yeah.
um
And that's enough for a whole lifetime right there.
it
Just
is, and
that
that's why I
one.
love it. Yeah, it's never ending, and because of my passion for this dance, I've been to Egypt 3 times. I've been learning Arabic. It's really opened up so many other amazing experiences for me through this love of dance. And even just what the things I've learned from interacting with a lot of the Egyptians and Jordanians and Syrians and Palestinians here, I've become a better person just by interacting with them.
So
Yeah.
giving. This is a
Mhm.
hospitality. Okay, that's a whole other day.
I'm like, oh my God, hospitality. Every time I'm just like, my hospitality is
Hospitality.
crap. I need to step it up.
Amazing.
Yes.
If I may, I can't believe it's already
I know.
3:52.
Oh my God.
I wanted to share a resource also that is free,
Yeah.
readily available,
Mhm.
has always been around since probably like late 90s, mid
Mhm.
2000s. Like there are magazines that are
Oh, that's right.
amazing.
Yeah.
And some of them are online and some you have to only get on physically. Sorry, I'm like
Hmm.
forgetting my words.
Yeah.
There's not like a million, but there are various publications that are just like these gems of archival information from
Hmm.
people from around the world in the industry. And so,
Hmm.
like, if you just Google like Bellydance magazines or like
Yeah.
historical, like, you're gonna find a bunch. So, highly recommend that too. There's a lot online that is free, like free,
Yeah.
and you just read and nerd out. It's always there.
I think Farida Fahmy has a lot of free stuff on her website, actually.
Mhm. She
Farida
does.
Fahmy, for those of you, if you're a newbie, if you don't know, she was the sister-in-law. She was sister-in-law to Retta, and she was one of the star dancers of the Retta troupe. But Farida Fahmy has a lot of information on her page. Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit, like, because we have to wrap it up. Oh my
I know.
God. If there was a way to sum it all up, and you wanted every listener to just come away with the one message, what would the message be from this?
When you dance, how can you hold space for the culture in there? I guess that's it. Yeah.
Perfect. I love
Yeah.
it. What are the best ways for people to get in touch with you after this, after
After
listening?
this, well, hi, I'm a real person. Come see me. Well, one is Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to connect with me. So I'm just here on Instagram. I'm Adrianne Rocks, RAQS. So you can connect with me there. And then pretty much, if you're in the LA area, I'm at most of the large events here, but just hit me up. I think next you'll see me at Royal Crown in 2 weeks. It's going to be in Carson. So I can't wait to see everybody there.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right. I love
Mhm.
it. There's always so many events. I love it.
Yes, so
We're
many
very
events.
fortunate. Very
Yes.
fortunate because it's not the case in other places.
Hmm.
tell me then a little bit. We have a couple minutes for
Okay.
anyone that wants to ask questions. Hi,
Hmm.
Lorraine.
Hmm.
Ask questions if there's anything you want to get a little more clarification on, because we went
Hmm.
through a lot very quickly and we know
Yeah.
it's so
And especially if you're like, if you're new to this dance, this can seem very, you're like, this can seem overwhelming. And I think I don't want it to stop people from being like, oh, I don't want to like, I think sometimes people, they start to, and they're like, oh, I don't want to like step on anyone's toes, or I don't want to make a mistake, or I don't want to be culturally insensitive. I
mm,
think what you can do is just, make sure you're with teachers or, other people, professionals that, are, seem like they're doing that, and follow them. It's a learning journey. We're not going to get it perfect. And I think that stops sometimes people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Question who their teachers were or where they got
Yes.
their information too. It's perfectly okay. And just be
Yeah.
honest if you're the teacher or you're the dancer, if you're like a pro, because a lot of this talk was stemmed from like seeing pros not doing it.
Yeah, this isn't, yeah,
Good.
because, yeah, always question,
I agree.
there's a lot of instructors out there that are absolutely amazing. Do the research, study with the source dancers, absolutely, and they just love the culture and they love the music. But there are teachers out there and you're like, where did you learn this from? Like, did you learn this from YouTube and now you're teaching me? Like, have you been to Egypt? Have you made an effort to go to Egypt? Or,
Or what?
what's your
Mhm.
experience? Or Lebanon or Jordan,
Yeah.
all those places. And so I get so Egyptian centric. My apologies, anyway. I
It's
always forget.
okay. I'm here to
My
remind you. I
one
don't.
of my close friends is Lebanese, and she was like, "There's Lebanon." I'm like, "I know." So
I love it. Yes. So
yeah,
thank you so much for your time. If
yes,
anyone has any questions, we can,
I'm
when
here.
we're going to publish it, she's here. She'll be
Yes.
happy. We'll put it, any commentary, we'll put that in there. Thank you for your time, everyone. Some of you have some events after this, so go
Mhm.
and enjoy. And we'll talk soon.
All
Bye,
right. Thank you so much for
everyone.
having me. Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye.